My name is Barton Smock. It's May 22nd, 2014. I'm going to be reading some poems from my newest collection titled We Stole Not the Same Bread. Outer Life. They'd say his head was hard because it was too small for God to kiss. When he'd come into town, he'd leave with children we'd not seen except on posters. His welcome mat was a napkin spotted with blood from a Q-tip. Save for the tiny matter of Jesus, our parents gave him little to do. Costume. We're here to bloody the head of the boy who put a clown's red nose on the girl playing Jesus for stopped traffic. If I spoke your language, I would tell you. The mind has its place. I pour soup into my father's mouth so he can find his teeth. When he passes out, I tell the carolers he's gone to the city for a blindfold. My girlfriend likes it when I send people away. I was born there. The Bridge. Let me not pray for the man who, when young, had ambition and traveled the short distance to heaven in hopes of capturing on film for the last time in its environment God's bed, who returned home obsessed with becoming consumed by the inexact art of self-portraiture and was soon so beautifully trapped by aging that he grew his hair to his waist, where it was set on fire as he stood to bow before the accumulation of sight and sight's potential. Captions. Underling animals in times of quake. Slight swellings in brain of maybe one mole bottled now for sea. If on a baby your hands would be so cute, but as an adult you glove them. World as wheelchair, the wheelchair from which God rose. As sporadic surges switch on the sink's disposal, pull thorns from the rabbits you dream. Pacific. The tree was gone, but its shade remained. He told her the war had a humble middle. They bathed together in a mattress on top of the shade. They agreed to avoid the uselessness of their youth by forgiving animals. She had been a writer. He would be a bed of one nail. Intervention. The two skeletons it takes to lift a coat hanger, the balls it takes for them to introduce it as an ultrasound, the excitement you don't share, the bone fragment that opens your brother's eye, the haunted tourist who never arrives, who will adopt nothing because nothing is small when compared to the crucified whose toe almost touches the paper shredder we couldn't move. Mountain storm, moaning tent of rehab, eating your hands when a phone call is a phone call away. Age at which I walk. On city bus she pretends she is riding her back pain. There are phrases without mouths people try for. Bouncing baby boy, prego, his body is here but his mind is gone. She is privately obnoxious in the world's tiniest museum of logic, where she is first a scrapbooking orphan created by the emergency broadcast system, and second a mascot assigned to one fleeing ballerina. Her thinking companion licks ice from Ohio license plates, shares her soft spot for headgear. Kenning. He wasn't put here to beat you in front of any fool, reminds him of that woman who wished herself into a fly. He has been more than open with you about it. about his reincarnation, how he happened to be the first to know it. You keep it all in. Bring your mother noises from field so she can determine which ear works. Word association is a thing of the future. Be the property of your blood. Stay with me. As you are sworn to silence by the man your father skips lunch to feed, it is okay to drift between. Stay with me. Brother Suicide and Brother Note, the twins of an only sorrow. Poor lighting. Poor lighting. A plastic doll with a human right hand distracts us from the parrot's empty cage. We have been writing in unison instead of eating. Our poverty is so advanced it keeps a fake diary and a real diary but hides them in the same spot. We are dying in two of our mother's arms. Our mother is elsewhere, repeating after the man who does our stunts. Creative types. A dog is not barking. Father, no mystery. Mother is telling a woman that what the woman has is a child of God. I'm in my room like the sort of thing exists in certain parts. Porn, doghouse catalogs, the animal that saw God finish. My real friend has imaginary muscle control. I want to touch him, but I'm not sure how much my fingertips have. My brother's sanity is how a baseball bat makes it onto a crowded subway. In the dream, my father irons my mother's back with his palms, and his palms are scarred. In my friend, there are magnets. Recent events. You were born on the losing side of an argument so great it nearly cut your mother in half. To his knowledge, he shook you once, became your father, and a hider of the rattled hand. When I wanted to drink, I watched you not sleep, and carried you to sounds I could not make. We each had one eye that believed in God. What eye you had made artifact of light itself, light's longing. Z. I will do my best to remember in order these the prayers Satan has returned to the adult me. Please help me to absorb the paranoia of my uncle who, after putting a clear piece of tape on his belly button, drinks too much. Please make her hair fall out. Invisibility. Tell God, but take your time. A secret brother, a brother I can beat on. Power over girls I want nothing to do with. A job my mom can turn down. Muscles that make me high. Pain in the useless privates of my guardian angel. The best birdhouse. A grandfather or a frog or both with teeth. A nativity scene built around a piece of spat-out gum. Comic book with masturbating scarecrow. A baby sister to radio my mother's coma. Messenger stones. A double where my hands can sleep. The last dropper of dinosaur woe. Eve whose ears have amnesia. You from my past. The small. I acquired you as an infant from a gentleman who needed parts for a radio he planned to invent. Listening to his radio was a long way off. You sat early. You called me mother before I was ready. If I was good, you'd play a video cassette to watch it dream. I looked at stars and you were a toddler. Our life was life on other planets until the gentleman returned. He'd said he'd seen Satan in a spacesuit and that Satan had given him signs of sexual abuse. You were not unrecognizably depressed, but did start a fire in a photograph. Frontier. The nothing that's out there I keep to myself. My talk talks me down. My kids laugh in Sweet Tooth and Funny Bone. I am not God's father figure, but bring anyway a nervous energy to my own birth scene. It is pretty how one manages to populate a personal hell, and it is too pretty to base an image on the diary, soaked but drying, in a little house with a kicked-in door. Some have a story and some think that having avoids the generalizing. Others do, to clear space for space. For a hobby, I'd say be stunned by the baby before it inherits separation anxiety. Once beneath a storm, be a ghost. Collapse. How on a clear day my father is the face of absence. How what I mean cuts the finger my mother sips. How porch blood is not the same blood the body faints with. How copperhead, how rattlesnake, how lisp, says I myth my sister who is still vanishing to shoplift God from the thunderstorm we gave her. Tell it to my brother. A widow with 3 hands has 10 doomed acquaintances. God's tackle box is too light to carry. Think of it as you are sent into feminine indifference. Think of your son as the incurable made thing on the factory floor of my son's use. A male mime bites into a bar of soap. Sex is a bruise in a blizzard. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Again, those were poems from my newest collection, We Stole Not the Same Bread. It's available on Lulu.